Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our February meeting of 2025. First of all, other people, apologies. I know of two apologies for Terry Walker, councillor, and also for Dennis, who are unable to attend due to other requirements today. A public forum this morning we have at the stage.
Through the chair, can we get a move and second for those apologies?
Yeah. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Public forum this morning, our first speakers from Connexa are Caitlin and Curtis. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Who's going to start this morning? Come up if you like.
Yes, we've got a presentation which I would like to put up. I'm not sure how to do that.
And you've got your presentation, I can share my screen.
Thank you. It's in PDF format, but that.
How long roughly does that go for, Caitlin?
Well, I would like to have had the papers with the community board beforehand, but we haven't been able to do that. But I've got the full suite of information available for the community board, but I am aware this isn't the first time that we've heard about the project. So I can summarise things and skip through slides, but for the record, I'd like the full presentation to be available.
We appreciate that, and we can discuss that at further level afterwards. But
yes,
for the purpose of this, 5 minutes is the normal amount of time.
correct.
For speaking.
Yes.
But if the members do require any clarification, then we can extend that a bit for you.
All right.
So, right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Is this spinning it?
yes,
That's just thing to think through, me. So I will share and you just tell me.
thank you.
As we move through.
Right, yeah, it's going to be a bit tricky, but thank you very much for the opportunity to meet with you all today. Curtis and I work for Connexa, and we've been working since last year with the Whangamatā, with Thames Coromandel District Council, first of all, on a variation and an upgrade to the cell site that's placed on the Wellbeing golf course. The reason that we need the upgrade to the Williamson Golf Course is that there is need for increased connectivity from Spark, One New Zealand, and 2 degrees in the south part of Whangamatā town.
Yep.
And cover that shortfall of capacity and requirements in the town over the summer. Those mobile network operators have had to put temporary cell sites into that area over a number of years and have done it. To address that, we're at a stage now that the capacity requirements in that part of town require a permanent solution. One New Zealand, through their Towerco company, 40 South, were already looking and talking to the golf club about a second mobile phone site on the Williamson Golf Course. Because council are the head leaseholder of Williamson Golf Course, that proposal went to them. We were also talking about a co-locatable tower on the Williamson Golf Course, upgrading in the existing area. When council considered all the options, council advised that they would, both 40 South and Connexa, that they would like One New Zealand to co-locate on the upgraded tower on Williamson Golf Course. So it was appropriate for us to deal with the council first because they were the head lease holder. So then we went to the Whangamatā Golf Club and worked with the Whangamatā Golf Club as the operational people of the Williamson Golf Course, plus the fact that they are the sublease holders with the council for that area. And that's where we have the existing lease rights for the existing cell site. Working with the golf club requested that we work with them to move the cell site to a more appropriate location from a golf course operational perspective. The water tanks were going to be removed, and they asked us if we could shift our lease area from where it currently exists in between two greens and in the shop of one of the long tea shops to where the water tanks are. So we did a lot of considerable work redesigning and looking at how we could fit into those requirements to fit the co-locatable tower in that area. Due to the shift from the existing lease area to the new lease area, that was a move of more than 5 metres, which is permitted under the standards and also under the lease requirements. So that 3 metres above the 5 metres, because we've shifted 8 metres, required a variation to the lease, which we have put before you. And also the redesigned tower, it was permitted to go another 5 metres in height, plus it was permitted under the National Environmental Standards and the district plan to have co-located parties on it. In order to make that tower safe from an engineering and structural point of view, we needed to make the base wider, which was an additional 400 millimetres. So we needed to apply for resource consent for an additional 400 metres on the width of the base, plus the 3 metres of a shift of the lease area. So that is basically what we bring to you today. There is all the evidence available to you from the 3 mobile network operators that this tower and the additional services in the south end of Whangamatā are required. We have done 88 individual email or letter drops to those properties that border the golf course. I have spoken directly to 3 people as a result of the project. I've met with James and Brandy Wickham, Curtis and I in their home on the 4th of September and discussed the proposal with them, answered all their questions, provided the resource consent, continue to provide all the information about our project. The golf club presented the proposal at their AGM to all members, and that was passed at the golf club AGM. So out of those 88 letter drops that we've done, I've only had 4 or 5 contacts from people, generally with questions. 2 people are against the proposal and the others remain silent or are accepting of it.
Just to make things easier, are there any questions from the community members of concerns that you wish to put to the colleagues?
One question.
Yes.
Last time when we had discussion, there was going to be some further consultation on that meeting. Am I correct on that?
Were you talking about the council meeting?
The board meeting.
I wasn't at the board meeting.
Oh, weren't you?
No. James Wickham was here, and also the Nicole Yell, the property manager that we've been dealing with, tabled the report that requested. That report was in favour of the sublease variation being agreed to, but
It was Caitlin and Curtis, they were at that 10% one, that was Mark.
So if you were able to build the tower where it stands now, albeit a bigger tower, you wouldn't be wanting a variation to the sublease, would you?
no.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we everything is permitted for us to do this exact project in the exact lease area.
Yeah.
The reason we're moving is because we wanted to work with the golf club.
It is on the road.
Accommodate their needs.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Neil, any questions? Dean? Look, thank you for, we will consider this and go from there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. Our second speaker this morning is Patrick Koo. Good morning, Patrick.
Morning. I think that allowed me to have a quick chat to you. I won't take more than 5 minutes of time. I am Chairman of Enterprise Whangamata, our local business association. I want to really just raise the idea of making some minor improvements around the town. We have the most amazing Sublease in New Zealand, yet it's not promoted at all. And we feel that we first of all looked down at the Hunt Road, at the end of Hunt Road, but there has been some objections to that, and also I understand there's some complication as to ownership. But we thought, as an idea, this is purely an idea, and I'd like to, if you are in agreement, then we would move to getting quotes and so on. But on the Rutherford, in the roundabout at Port Road and Hetherington, we would like to investigate putting some surfboards, one a large vertical one pointing to the surf, one to the north, and one exactly. There's no sense of me going and getting quotes and getting until we have these things. Now, the other one is the Port Road banner. We have a number of significant events in this town, and I think it's an opportunity it's a photo op for argument's sake, being shot right across the road. Now, I just don't know exactly what the complications are or what the opportunities are, whereabouts, but it seems pretty sensible to put it somewhere around here in the middle of Port Road. And the third is to run a digital board on the piece of land just here. We've got rights over the surfboard and the design there, but I think it's a thing that could be utilised by not only council, all the community organisations where we would just have a role out of it. It would be a two-sided thing, so you can see it from both sides. It would be protected in terms of security with perspex, much like as you see on bus stops in the likes of Auckland. It's not particularly expensive, but it does need power and does need a few other matters to be resolved. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't know how, if anyone has any ideas or objections, I'm more than happy to discuss it further.
Can I ask a question? Yes. The digital one, who feeds the information into it?
Well, we would, as Enterprise Whangamata, would be the coordinator from it. It's all digital, so we can just go pop and it gets added to. And it's a rollover, but it's open to the entire community.
Thank you. Neil?
Patrick, are you looking for funding from the community board, or these ideas if approved and we like the idea that the Enterprise Whangamata would just get on and do it?
I would like to, first of all, see that you agree, let's go and investigate these matters. We will then come back to you and say, this is a formal proposal, this is what it costs, this is how much we are going to contribute in, perhaps. But it's also about getting rights to putting poles something on there and also utilising council land.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, Patrick.
Okay.
And we can discuss further.
That's great. Thanks very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good morning, Brian. It's your turn next.
Morning, Koto, and thanks for the opportunity to speak in the public forum. I'm just wanting to give you an update on the Whangamata Lease, Marae and Wellbeing Hub, and how we've been progressing over the last 12 months with the lease item on the agenda today, and also just be available to answer any questions that you might have. So the last 12 months have been really busy working on the project between the Whangamata Community Trust and the other stakeholders on the and the part of the wider hub. Some of the significant things that have happened is that we've worked with council to subdivide the land, as you would know. And then council has changed that land to a community purpose reserve, which brings it up to be ready for the lease, which is for you today. Also in the background, the trust has been working on funding for the design. Initially, we were concerned that we wouldn't be able to apply for funding until we actually had secured the lease. But we approached the funders and showed them the resolutions that council had made, and they were happy for us to apply for funding with those resolutions. So that's meant we've been able to raise 100,000 to date to go with the design. So that means this year we've got a good amount of money in the bank, and we're really ready to progress and get things moving with the design of what will happen on site there. We did get a bulk location plan done at the end of last year, which I think you may have seen in your report. So that's sort of our first draft concept. And from that, we are consulting with tangata whenua, community groups, and the wider community to refine that plan and then bring that through to a final concept plan. So that'll be our work first 6 months of this year is consulting and refining that plan. We're also really excited to get a lease. We've been kind of waiting and really anticipation of that, so that we can actually get on site and start to tidy it up and to start to use the site. As you well know, it's a bit of a wasteland and still needing some attention, so we're really looking forward to actually getting a lease and being able to progress some things there. I want to thank the council staff that we've been working with. It's been a really, collaboration between us and the council, and the staff have been really helpful and really good to work with and deal with. And it's nice to have a really positive relationship going forward into all the challenges that we're going to have as this project progresses. No doubt there'll be ups and downs and difficulties, but when we have a good collaborative relationship, then we can work together on overcoming those challenges. So thanks to Stephen and Cole and the other council staff that have worked on this with us. We're really excited and things are moving and progressing really well. Particularly, it's great for us to be in a position where we've got the funding and we can really get things moving this year. So, yeah, I'm just open to any questions if anyone has.
Any questions for Ryan or members?
Oh, it's good you've got some funding.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very pleased.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate it. And as you were, it's in here for discussion further in the trip. Thank you. Now, Graham Smith. Morning, Graham.
Morning. Morning, Mr. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. It's just a brief update, really. So the Arts Collective staged a very successful exhibition home anniversary weekend. Tickets sold out to the Friday's Harcourt's Challenge, where artists compete for prize money, 88 entries, which set a new record. This included a new creative writing category. So Friday, Saturday and Sunday attracted over 800 visitors, pretty significant for our little town. So very satisfying to the committee with all the preparation work that happens. However, like the Friday night, with a record crowd, etc., the heating was very hot, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Yeah. Very hot. I'm not really sure how we get around that one. It's the same situation for the Theatre Society when they have productions, especially higher up on the bleachers. It was so uncomfortable on the Friday night with the prize giving that some of the visitors decided to call it quits. So I'm not really sure how we address that, but I'm happy to help where I can if there's an opportunity. Also, is it possible for a council rep to meet me down at the hall, because the storage doors underneath the stage are constantly damaged with the trolleys coming in and out. I was just wondering if there's an opportunity, maybe think about redesigning those so they're a bit more user-friendly. Happy to help with some input there. So, like I say, just a brief report. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Graham. Any questions for Graham? Thank you, Graham. We have Margaret Nicholson online. Good morning, Margaret. Can you hear us? Margaret?
On mute. You're on mute, Margot.
Well, I can give her a call and find out what's going on.
Yeah, she's still on mute.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah.
We've got you now.
Thank you. Can you see me as well?
No.
Sorry.
How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kia ora tātou. Thank you so much for this opportunity. As many of you know, I'm the council liaison person for the Aputri Community Hall and now the Vice Chair. Pleasure to speak to you this morning. Just three things I wanted to address and to give you an update with. The first is we've got amazing community support for the hall. Some of you, I think, Councillor Walker was at the Aura AGM, and I just had a note that there was 75 people there, but I'm sure it was only 50 came to the hall, and that was a fantastic event. We've had a sit-down dinner for, again, of course, only 50 people for a 60th. And we've also had a really amazing working bee, which our lovely local fire department did a barbecue for. We had crafts inside, and we managed to paint the outside of the fence, which all looks beautiful. We didn't have to count the numbers for that because everyone was outside. So that was a very successful event. The community are the eyes and the ears and are telling us things that need to happen with the hall, things like the borers come back so we can deal with that. The second thing I wanted to talk about was our relationship with staff and council. We've had some really positive meetings with the property and facilities manager, who I see sitting at the meeting, and really appreciate that. And the support, having resolved the funding contract. As a committee, we've also increased our capacity and co-opted a couple more people on, so the committee's in good health. It's working well, working with staff. We're together, the two main priorities are working on the numbers issue and making the hall fire safe, and we've got a risk management approach. Unfortunately, it was too tricky to go for the building warrant of fitness, but we're working together on that. And the other issue is the bathrooms, and we're starting to work on that too. So that's really positive. The third thing that I wanted to talk to you about was just to thank you for your support, but also to ask the community board for help to ensure that, you know, that the staff have the resource and time to work with us. They're really stretched, well-intentioned, sometimes can come to meetings, but just having that time to write up emails and follow up and having the operational budget to do work is really important. We're doing really well with accessing extra funds. So an example of that is that we have a private company who are going to paint the hall this month. They've received sponsorship from Resines to get the paint. And, you know, we've asked from the operation budget, just $800 for sandpaper and bits and pieces like that. And that's working well. So we're working well together. We're accessing funding, but there is some ongoing budget that's going to be needed from time to time. And, you know, we're getting requests, but we want to be able to put our energy into promoting the hall and making this sustainable, because it's a lot of work for volunteers. And honestly, I don't think we can keep expecting volunteers to be putting in the hours that they are. So we're trying to work on systems. But thank you, everyone. I hope that's useful. And if you've got any questions, I'd be very happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions for Margaret? Thank you, Margaret, for your time. Thank you very much. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the public forum, please?
I'll move it.
Neil, thank you. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Items not on the agenda.
Given what we've heard from speakers at the public forum, I'd like to put, doesn't have to be on this month, but some future time, looking at the suggestions raised by Patrick. And also, I think we do need to look at probably cooling heating at the Memorial Hall and see what would be the best way to do that.
Yeah, through the chair, we can put that on the action schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Any further questions? Comments on items not on the agenda? Any conflicts of interest? Nothing?
Problem, only possibly on the Surf Club thing, but yeah, I don't think I really have a conflict.
And minutes for confirmation from our last meeting. Anybody mark to get?
I did raise that under 3.1. I do have a further question on that line we're going to take out. How does that happen in terms of public record or whatever appears in the minutes? Because do you update the minutes to take it out, or
Yeah.
do you record it somewhere?
People update the minutes. So what Mark is referring to is on 3.1, there was an explanation given regarding how you can go about changing meetings through the provisions of the Local Government Act. We will remove this sentence because it was more me just providing the explanation. That doesn't really fit with what happened on that day. It's more in regards to me just giving an example of the title of community board.
I think does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, but what is the process so that if someone wants to get a copy of the minutes, it won't be there, is that right? Yeah.
Once we confirm it.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Any other questions in relation to that? Thank you. Ask for a move and second, please, in relation to the minutes. Being confirmed. All those in favour, aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The new lease for the Whangamata Community Marae and Wellbeing Trust. It's available. Would staff here to summarise this? Thank you. Good morning.
First of all, I need to address an error which was in the lease terms of the report. This has since been corrected and I believe circulated to everybody, and it will form part of the minutes. So that's first. Just take the report as being read and happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions from the committee in relation to it?
There's been a lot of time spent on this site.
It certainly has.
I'm pretty aware of it, yeah. And I just repeat again for the public to know, this land was taken under the Public Works Act for a school from the Williamson family. And the Williamson family would be the first ones to have the right to have the land back. But they've made it very clear they want this to go to the community. So there's full support from the family. For the survivors, might I say, who I am in touch with. So it's great that they're encouraged that it was meant to be a school, it didn't become a school, and it's floated around, and now we're finding a purpose, which I think will please everyone, hopefully.
I think it's got so many tentacles that it can assist the community too, which is so very important. So No, I think this is why, looking ahead, and it won't happen overnight, but when it does happen, it's going to be a great condition. Any further questions?
I was just going to move that we recommend a new lease be entered into option 1.
Second that.
Okay.
Second up.
We move and second that option 1 to be taken, received its reconsideration for the various sublease in wrong one.
Exporting.
Option 1, move and seconded that community board recommends new lease be entered into Whangamata, Marae, Wellbeing. All in favour, say aye.
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 Against opinions? Carried. Thank you for those members that attended.
I'd just like to say, I think we could acknowledge all the great work that's gone on to get to this point from council and also the local community. I think it's up against a brick wall sometimes, but I mean, you got there, so it's really good.
Next point, 2.2, is the reconsideration of the proposed the various sublease between Whangamata Golf Course and Connexa Limited. We briefly outlined today's story. And again, the staff put a here to summarise anything.
No, just taking, well, it's the same report with a few updates added to it, but just being referred back to the community board level for reconsideration from council meetings.
Thank you. I think some of the points were clarified that there were concerns about at the 10th of December council meeting, which made it easier. And I know that some of our members here have looked into it. And anybody got anything that they wish to say about it at this stage? Right, so the recommendations for it received the proposed variation to the subclause between the Whangamata Golf Course and Connexa, a report dated the 31st of October, and recommend the council approve the deeded variation. I think one point that was made was in relation to the RMA, that this would be subject to the approval of the RMA being issued on it. And that would that be a fair comment for it?
Yeah, as being a separate process, that will impact on any
Yes.
updates in the future. Sure.
All right.
Through the chair, but could we not have as part of our approval process that it's subject to that resource consent being approved?
It won't go ahead if it's not approved.
Stating,
So it's,
if you want to state, I don't know.
But it's just I just kind of feel we're preempting the process. But I mean, if everybody's happy with it legally being fine, then okay.
Through the chair, it does say in the second clause, variation is contingent upon the resource consent being granted.
Yeah.
Does that suffice?
Where does it say that, sorry?
In the second clause.
2 points.
Well, we can put it up on the screen so I can explain.
Sure, thanks. Thank you.
And so just the very last sentence, variation is contingent upon the resource consent being granted.
that was actually an older recommendation, but it can stay in there if you wish.
I'd like to see it in there.
Any other comment? Ask for a move and second it.
Well, then I'll move it.
I'll second. Okay. All in favour, say aye.
Okay.
Carry. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
discretionary fund request for the Whangamata Surf Life Saving Club.
Okay, I'll take the report as being read. Is there any questions from the board regarding the request?
It's a difficult situation with organisations like surf clubs having to go big and cap in hand. In some places, they get funding from the government and regional councils and all sorts of things. We sort of haven't gotten that queue. It's because funds are short. So I suppose really all we can do is give them what we can afford, and $10,000 is really about as much as we can afford.
At this stage, I understand that Ireland has had discussions in relation to future funding applications with them, so be aware of that. Nobody would question the work that they do in relation to it, and so many hours to volunteer work, like other places here. And Whangamata has some, the biggest towns where you've got towns that can back it also. So, any assistance that we can do, either through us or through council, is very necessary.
Great.
I think it's a very important community service that should be supported.
So, have we seconded that?
I'll move it.
Eric. Community Board CAPEX program. Liberty.
Now, I just don't make a phone call about that.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Luke. Can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Just in relation to the CAPEX, anything that you want to mention before we ask for questions from the
No, should be a fairly standard report. There's some good progress with most of the projects being in green in regards to their status. We have one completed project, which is the Whangamatā dump station, noting that we're just looking at some of the signage there at the moment in regards to people parking there that aren't utilising it for its intended purpose. So a little bit of work on that, but otherwise the project is complete.
So there was concerns from the residents or the companies around there as relation to the smell coming from it. Is there anything that can be rectified, or is there anything that's done at other dump stations to correct that problem for nearby residents, etc.?
Usually they don't become too much of an issue in that regard. But if there are concerns, then I really encourage the local businesses to log RFSs so we can get a really sense of how the scale of the issue. And then we can start to think about what the plan is. But I think you'll find most of those sort of sites, you don't get those sorts of complaints because usually they're pretty well contained within. But absolutely keen to hear about that from the community.
Are you aware of any today?
No, nothing's been highlighted as an issue from a smell perspective.
I followed the request up that the board had sent to me. There were 2 RFSs lodged regarding the smell in January. The contractor went to there and they are continuing to monitor the smell. There was no smell when they went, and they went back again, and there was no smell. So the contractors are continuing to monitor it, but definitely if there is still something going on, they do need to lodge a request for service.
Yeah, I think if we can just loop back the RFSs through to the project manager so that she can monitor that as well from a project perspective. Yeah.
I've got those numbers, so I'll send them through.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Luke. And yes,
I do have questions. Well, we'll come back to the dump station one first then. I noticed that the spend at the end of November was 143 grand, 143,000 plus, but then the cash flow is less for the completed project. But I don't understand the numbers.
Yeah, so I would ignore the cash flow because obviously we've completed the project. I think that's just an oversight from the pulling the report together that the end figure should match the spend as at 30 November.
Okay. Then I thought have more. On the stormwater improvement one, the spend at the end of November last year was $450,000 just for the investigation. That's a good amount of the budget that's been and gone. And we're forecasting a cash flow less than the annual planned budget, but we still haven't done the design and stuff. And I'm just wondering what the process is around the amount of money that's been spent, the investigation, seems quite a lot.
Yes, so sorry, what was the question then?
We've got nowhere.
What I could do is at the next meeting, we can provide a one-pager report with a bit more detail for you. And I can get the project manager to prep that up so that you get a better sense of what work has occurred to date and for that current spend. It will also have up-to-date current spend figures because obviously November's a little while ago, but you've got the holiday period in between that means that, yeah, not much was happening since then. So if you're happy to receive a one-pager, we can send that through with more detail for you so you get a better idea of what effort has been expended and the cost against that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that because, I mean, as you're aware, stormwater is a big issue in town here and we get asked a lot of questions, and for me to keep on saying I don't know doesn't go well. The next one is the car park reseals and where the beach road boat ramp and the reserve car park are looking to put chip seal in there. And is chip seal the best option with all the turning vehicles, particularly in the heat of summer, and you're just going to be ripping up the seal coat?
We would have taken advice, I'd say, but I can't answer for parks on their behalf. But they would have taken advice from designers, but I can get them to confirm for you and fire the response back through from through the governance team.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. Thank you very much.
it said also a possibility of asphalt, either that or asphalt those, so depending on the existing surface type.
Good. Yeah, well, I just want confirmation that advice has been sought on that, because chip seal normally with a lot of turning vehicles, all you're doing is rolling the stones, particularly in the heat of summer.
How far down the track is that, Luke? Do you know, or is that parks that are dealing with it?
The car park reseals are being delivered by the parks team, so I'll need to ask any questions of them that isn't in the report.
We wouldn't want to hold up the work being undertaken at this stage, particularly with the weather, on weather's going. So, you know, it would be, if it could be even answered out of council, out of community board meeting at the time.
Absolutely.
And network, yes.
We can get the details through governance for you, or work with Eileen in between meetings.
Neil, sorry.
Luke, there's no mention in the Parks and Reserve renewals about the fitness trail. That's looking a bit grotty.
Fitness trail.
Can someone have a look at it?
Yeah, I'll pass that on to them and get them to have a look. They may have established their program of work this year with the renewals funding, but I'll ask that question.
Thank you.
We can follow that up this afternoon with the Parks Connect on the networking.
Okay.
Any further questions for Luke? Nothing else, Luke, if you want to mention to us that.
No, that's all from me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, for the motion for the CAPEX program?
Yeah, move.
I'll second it. Very moved and seconded. Any opposition? Action schedule.
Yeah, is there any questions that the board wants to raise about the items on the
Yeah, sorry.
You go.
Beverley Terrace, and I know it's been closed for the reason put there, but actually the point I was trying to make around Beverley Terrace, that I wanted to see a seasonal speed limit implemented for Beverley Terrace, and that was the gist of the point I tried to raise at the meeting last year. So I'd like to see this action, or a new action item on here maybe, about a seasonal speed limit. I understand that's coming up at our next meeting, but I'd really like to make sure that we do have that at our next meeting. I know the guys have been talking with NZTA. I have also been talking with NZTA, and they've copied me into the responses that they sent to the council. And I would like to see a positive outcome of this sooner than later, because I don't want to have this have to have this conversation every year.
Just in regard to short-term accommodation in Whangamata, that's been an issue for many years, and there's never been a solution for it. And you've advised that there is no council land. So I would like to propose, and I know this is a long-term thing because it takes forever, is to change the status of Mayfair Reserve, apart from the horse riding bit, and use that and get that out of a reserve, and so make it available for short-term housing. I don't think that reserve is utilised particularly much at this in town, and so I'd like to see that land being rezoned and the reserve taken away from that for the bit that's not leased. Yeah.
So we can raise that with the property team and the parks team, just to see what implications, what needs to happen.
But I really think we need to stay on top of that, because it is a problem for, it's nowhere to live in town for a lot of people.
I support that.
Yeah, sure, but you've got a reserve. Once it's gone, it's gone. I keep thinking of the song. You don't know what you've got till it's gone, and people might want it for other reasons. So you just never know.
I don't know how long the reserve's been there, but you never see any activities, anything happening there. Just empty. It's not like Williamson Park or the rugby grounds or the golf course or some of the other parks which actually get used.
It is used by the equestrians.
Yeah.
Over the summertime, families do use that. Community gardens there also. And it's used for big events for motorhome camping, like beach hop.
Yeah.
But like I said, we can investigate what's involved in.
I just think there's got to be some movement to try and find a solution for the lack of accommodation, for workers coming in town and so on.
The other piece of land that I thought of, it could be used as that piece of land next to the motel, coming across the causeway, where it's utilised for parking for beach hop and that on the lower side, where the actual boats park and that. And there's a lot of unutilised or unused land between Hetherington Road and there, which could be used.
Well, just, we need to identify land that can be rezoned for that purpose, that's all. Underutilised land, and I may be wrong, it might be being utilised more than I know, but underutilised land is what we need to do.
Mr. Chair, the only thing with those two locations, the one you talked about, and I was talked about, both of them have a flood hazard overlay, so they're both in the Wentworth River and around the marina, so potentially utilised and not looked at with short-term accommodation because of the issues of putting accommodation onto those. So that we just have to be mindful when we that make there. And the one by the marina is entirely covered by flood overlays.
Thank you. All right, any other points in relation to the action plan? Have a move and second, please.
Second.
Oh. All in favour, say aye. Chairperson Report. Welcome to the first community board meeting of 2025. Unfortunately, 2 of our members are unable to attend due to other commitments. Christmas appeared to be busy with both retailers and accommodation providers. Unfortunately, breaches of the liquor ban and disorder appear to be our biggest problems for young rebels. Sadly, parents are still supplying underage youth with liquor. Reports advise that 13 arrests occurred the night prior to New Year's Eve and 20 arrests on New Year's Eve. Thanks to Inspector Mike Hemwood for the extra policing staff that assisted our town so well. It's estimated 3,800 young people attended. This just shows the positive effects of highly visible deployment and education has on controlling large crowds. A large number of offenders are not local people, and besides the $250 fine for breaching the liquor ban, I wonder if parents should be made more accountable in relation to their teens' actions. Complaints continue to be received about the speed of electric scooters and footpaths and the obstruction of footpaths by push bikes being left across the carriageway, particularly with so many of our residents being elderly. It's very dangerous for them. I'm disappointed that some correspondence received from the Surf Club representative was I totally respect the work that the Surf Club does, but the correspondence basically said that the amount of money that being looked at by the community board was insufficient for their means. Obviously, board members for their means. End of that. Obviously, board members should, if they are not already, start to consider the intentions of any good nominations for the forthcoming elections. It is noted that electioneering has already begun with attendance at ratepayers meetings by some of us and councillors from other areas to show the newfound interest in our groups. Our next meeting is 1 week before Beach Hop, so the town is going to start to hum by then. Stay safe and keep up the good work. Thank you. Could I have a mover, or I move it, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favour, say aye. Carry. That's those of our meeting. Thank you for attending. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The lunch will be